So I really like the avidya, vidya, paravidya analogy. And I think the question that I had asked about the right trade-off to make a equitable distribution, I think my takeaway is सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, without the political connotation of that slogan, because I think it probably summarizes what you really said. These days, everything is getting politicized and things like that. So I want to make sure that people don't look at it that way. I think, we spoke about the national identity. We spoke about religion as a lens. We spoke about economic identity. I think in my mind, the fourth very important identity for every human being is the gender. And these days, gender is also defined in many different ways. It's not limited to the binary that we know. At least there are 3 or 4. And if you believe in some other Western definition, there are many others. And maybe I would argue that maybe there are 7 billion genders. We don't know. So the question for you is, and there's a lot of discussion around the female gender in our mythology and society and what role it has played here and even everywhere else. And it appears that somehow it is at least made out that women did not have the right pride of place, and over time they are gaining it. And in our own mythology, people interpret it saying maybe some people would say that they had a great place, and there are examples. Others will say they were outliers, and that's not the right way. So I just want your view on gender as a identity and how you would look at it in India and maybe even more broadly if you so like to share.
Thank you, Pankaj. See, first of all, when we see this limitation is such a big limitation, that of the language. Because when you say gender, what comes to my mind is linga, and which doesn't mean the same thing. Linga means symbol. But here, because any word in Sanskrit or in any Indian language, its origin is spiritual. So we use this linga for Shiv Linga, which means the one who is eternal. And we say everybody is that. Chidananda Rupaya Sivoham Sivoham. So that corresponds to what you are saying. That maybe genders are as many as human beings are there or beings are there. So spiritually the answer is hidden there in your question. It is, I can read it very well. It is so, but let us come to again to the apparent reality, as we are saying. How people are seeing. How people are seeing that, okay, mostly they are talking about 3 genders at best. Men, women, and the third one. As you said, in the West, there is some discussion has happened. But here you look at what happened in your narrative. When we describe one event, that of the Shiva's marriage party, there he says, Ko mukhhin vipul mukh kahu. There are beings who have only one mouth, and there are beings who have several mouths. So we here didn't give much importance to your appearance. We see here being essentially as a spiritual being. Our consciousness doesn't go below looking at person as a soul. At least the spiritual person find it tough to come down from that. It is a hard struggle to come to the level of mind, to come to the level of body. It's a really very tough struggle. So we are seeing everybody as soul. So gender becomes almost irrelevant in that sense, the way they are talking these days. But this is Indian spiritual vision of that. What is spirituality? Because this Indian I am just adding, because now we are being seen as, and through nation beings' identities. So the spiritual definition will be like this, that genders are limiting you to your physical, they are putting you into a very limited sense, you are identifying yourself in a very limited appearance. So not a big thing. This in fact would not have even been a discussion, point of discussion. Here we saw mostly this, we were men and women, yes. So we saw that women are tender by nature, still there. There is not any change unless we are forcing them to become harsh-hearted, if we cannot take care of that. So it was said, because they are sensitive by nature, we said, Yatra naryastu pujante ramante tatra devata. Even before I was about to renounce, I was about to recite this I am sure most of you would have already thought that I am going to say this, because this is our cultural way of looking at ourselves. So this is how subconsciously all Indians all operate almost a similar way. So we valued women more than men. It is not in that sense segregation, because we found out that they are more sensitive. Wife has been described as soul of man, soul of husband. So we always valued them more. How can we make them equal? They are already, no, they say, but when the same thing is put into words and it is not practiced in behavior, then it becomes very difficult. So better when you are not in that position, please don't, we should not say such words, such sentences, because that makes their position much more difficult. Because they are sensitive. If you say, Yatnaryastu pujante ramante tatta devata, and they say, oh, how greatly this person is valuing me. And then your real person comes out and you start behaving in entirely different way. How else will you describe such events, such bad incidents happening in the world? There are events, but with God's grace, they are very exceptional or somewhere here and there. So somewhere morals have come down. Our vision has come down. That should come back. So gender is not a great issue for us. It never was. We saw it as a link, as a symbol. And what you are hiding in your underwear, who's concerned about that? We are concerned about you as a person, how great soul you are, what is your contribution to the creation, how exalted soul you are, what are you contributing there. So that is how it is. So it is from a spiritual point of view, this is not at all a topic worth discussing. But you have rightly put it across, because people are not even in that much. They see there have been so much hoo-ha about this, so there is gender discrimination, so there should be law, all this, because people were so it's myopic in that sense. So we should move beyond. If we are looking from a spiritual point of view, at least we should treat them equal. If we cannot treat them the way they should be treated. And we say here, Kat Bridhi Sirji Nari Jagmahi Paradhin Sapneu Sukhnahi. It's a couplet from Tulsi. It's a lamentation from, in the context of Girija and his mother. That what is there? I mean, if women were to born and all the time, they are paradhin. But I see it entirely different thing, because that is the beauty of our language and that is how it is. Para means God here. Guru parataram tastvam nasti is a para. Paradhin means women are always driven by divinity. They are always paradhin. While man has to cultivate that. Man, we do not say you are paradhin. Paradhin, this is. Sapneu Sukhnai. Why? This world is a dream in which they do not experience the sukh, because they have to uphold more responsibility than the man of the house. Are we recognizing that? So we always considered other greater than ourselves. If you want the solution that how people should look at it, they should not look at it at all as a gender issue. They should look at me versus the other. Always look at other in reverence. Then all such differences which occur into mind, that this is male, this is female, this is some other gender, they will become irrelevant, because you will be dealing with a being, with a conscious being. So such issues are just, I think, kuch der ke mehman hain. Means the way humanity is evolving towards spiritualizations, people will stop asking such, bothering about such things, because they will not face such discrimination. That is why they will stop asking that. I don't see that is very far if people make the right choices. That is always there. Yes, Pankaj.